iterators. Uh, Iterators in Python, okay, there are objects which can be iterated upon, which means that, this object, we have gone through objects already, right? So objects that can be iterated upon means that, all the values, in the iterator can be, traversed through. That means we can access those, okay, one at a time. Okay, so iterator object returns data one element at a time. Okay, like you see here. Okay, so iterator object basically they implement two special methods. Is this underscore iter, and then this one right here, and that I'm highlighting here. So this one, and then the next method, which is also another special method. Okay, so uh, an object from which you can get an iterator. Okay, we can get iterator from something called iterable. Okay, very easily. So I've used this word iterable before. Okay, so if you remember, so iterable are, for example, list, tuple. See here, list, tuple, string is also an iterable. Set, So basically, these these are also called containers, right? So these are iterable. Means now from these you can get iterators. Okay, and then once you have those iterators, you can iterate through or traverse through or go through the variables, the values, okay, within that object, one at a time. Okay, you'll see an examples of those in a moment. Okay, so now the iter function. Okay, so now how do you create? So I said that we can create iterator from iterable, right? You can create iterator from iterable. What are iterable? Iterable are, for example, list, tuple, string, set, okay, all these. Okay, so how do you create, right? Iterator from iterable. So you use the iter function, okay? Very simple, very easily, okay, very easy. You can use the iter function, which basically calls, this special method iter, okay? Iter method, okay, on the iterable, and returns an iterator. Okay, so at first it kind of sounds confusing, but once you revise this material, okay, so you'll get used to these terms. Okay, all right. So let's see now. When you actually see the example and then see it in action, okay, then it will all make sense. Okay, so iterator through an iterator. So how do you iterate? So I said that we get iterator from iterable. Once we get the iterator, then we can iterate through the values within the iterator object, right? So how do you do that? How do you iterate through? So you iterate through a function called next. Okay, use the next function, which takes in the iterator. Okay, you'll see that. So don't worry about it. Okay, the next function is used to manually iterate through the items from iterator. Okay, so when the end is reached, so when you have iterated through all the values within that object, then and there's no there's not any more data returned, then it throws an exception or error. Okay, runtime error. Okay, which is this stop iteration exception is raised. Okay, you'll see all this in action. Okay, so now let's see. Now right here. Okay, so let me make it a little bit bigger so that I can see it clearly. Okay, so close this one probably. It's easier if I close that. Okay, let's see. Where am I? Sorry about that. Okay, so here, right here. So okay, so here now you have this list, right? See here, LST. LST is a list where you have 1, 2, 3, 4 values, right? So here, as I said before, right? So LST is an iterable, right? It is an iterable. Okay. So now you can create iterator from this iterable, right? So how do you do that? Okay. So you can use the iter method. So here, right here. So now I want to name my iterator. Okay, so this is the name of the iterator I want to give, right? So this is the name of the iterator, the iterator I get from here. So let's actually, let's evaluate this because, this gets evaluated first, and then the return value is assigned to this, right? So so rather we start from here, right? So we use the iter method, right? See, built-in function right here. You see up there, see, built-in def iter, built-in function iter, right? So it's a built-in function. So now iter, and then what are we passing? We're passing the list, lst. You can see there, you even can see the values within the list, right? Okay. Anyway, so now, so what's happening here? Here, you see here, this one. You're calling the iter function, right? And then you're passing what? The LST list, right? The list LST, okay? And then LST, as we said before, okay? A couple, I said that before, right? So this is what? Iterable, right? And then, so this function returns something, right? This iter function returns something. What does it return? It returns an iterator object, right? And then that iterator object is what? Is assigned to this, right? So ultimately, my iterator, okay, this variable right here, okay, my iterator, okay, is an iterator object. So if you, if you print the type of it, type my iterator, okay, you'll see that it's an iterator object. Okay? All right, so now this is equivalent to, okay, this lst.iter. So as we said up there, iter function and this iter underscore iter underscore, okay, there are, the equivalent statement is this. See, so if I do, for example, okay, let's just, run through it once, and then I'll come back and then, use this line rather, okay, and then show you that they are the same thing. Okay, all right. So now here, my iterator is what? My iterator is, see there, list underscore iterator instance, right? So you see right there on the second line, the tense dot list iterator. So it's an iterator, right? Okay. Now I can now I've got my iterator, right? Once I have my iterator, then I can iterate through the values one at a time, right? That's what we said, right? So now, excuse me. So how do we iterate? I mean, how do we, traverse through, go through, okay, the variables one at a time? So how do you do that? Use the next method. So here, right? The next method. Next is the method, right? Or next function. Let's say function, right? Because it's not being called on any instance. So let's call it function. So the next function is being used, right? So and then it's taking as argument what? So this is the argument, right? So what is the argument? The iterator is the argument, right? So what it does is, so every time I run this, right? Next, my iterator, it gives me one value at a time. So this one will give me what? Hello, because the first value is hello, right? So I again call here in this line, I call next my iterator. Now that's going to give me another value, how, right? And then I call next my iterator again. It's going to give me what? R, right here, right here. And then when I call next again on that iterator, next with the iterator passed as argument, I'm going to get this value u, right? See, now let me run here and show you the output. Okay, so let's see. Yep, that's what we got, right? Hello, how are you? Right? Okay, so now see, you had to call it one at a time. So so this is the property of iterator. So you have to traverse or go through the values one at a time. Okay, you can access those one at a time. Okay, so those are iterators. Okay, so now let's see over here, right? So now I want to, so if I call, see, I have exhausted, or I have gone through all the values in that iterator, right? Now, what if what if I call next again, right? What happens? Let's see. See, print. That's what I'm doing right here. See, print next. Okay, I'm trying to access another value. Okay, but there isn't any because we have we have accessed or we have gone through all the values. See, right? And then there's no more left, right? In that scenario or in that case, what happens is it raises stop iteration exception. Okay? Exceptions are basically, the runtime errors. Okay? So these are, this is an error, right? Okay, so because there's no more data to be, uh, returned. Okay, so see here, right here. See, this is the error being thrown or raised. Okay, so that's what happens. Okay, so after you have exhausted all the values, then if you try to access after you have traversed or gone through all the values, then you get this stop iteration exception. Okay, now as I promised, now I go back now. Okay, back here, and then I am going to although I just wanted to show you that these two. Okay, this this code is this code right here is equivalent to this code. Okay, it's the same thing. Okay? Let me quickly show you. You don't have to worry too much about this, but just let's see. See, you get the exact same result, right? So both are right. So, but basically, it's better to do it this way because this looks much cleaner, right? So this looks much cleaner, right? So ultimately, this is the this is the method being called. Okay? This is the method being called, but it's cleaner this way. The this one. This one is much cleaner. That's your code, right? So rather use it's better to use this. Okay, let me run it again. Okay, see, okay, all right. So now that's what iterator. Because now why did I take my time to explain iterator? Right. So because the next topic is generators, right? So in order to understand generators, you need to understand iterator. That's the reason I took my time to explain what iterator is. Okay, what an iterator object is. Okay, so now the next topic, okay, generators. Okay, so what are generators? Python generators. Python generators, okay, they are a simple way to create iterators. So you can create iterators very simply using generators, right? Okay, so basically, we created in the last, this topic, this iterator topic here, we use built-in, iterable, built-in iterable to come up with or to get the iterator. But here, okay, we can use we can create our own basically iterators, okay, using generators. Okay, so okay, you'll see the difference. Okay, so okay, Python generators, okay, as I explained, as I mentioned, a simple way to create iterators. Okay, so generator function, it's a function. Basically, what is generator? Generator is just a function. Okay, and then this function, okay, it returns an iterator object. Okay, returns an iterator object. Okay, and then as you as you saw in the last topic, that iterator object, okay, they can be iterated over one item at a time. Okay, as you saw. Okay, all right. So now we can create generator. Okay, so how do you create a generator? I mean, how do you create a generator function? Okay, so what is what is a generator function? So we can create generator function in Python using the yield keyword, Y-I-E-L-D, this keyword. Okay, so if you use this keyword, then okay, so you can get a generator object, right? Generator object in the function. So if in the function you use this yield keyword, this highlighted, right? Then you're going to get a generator object. You'll see that. Okay. A generator function can contain one or more yield statements. Okay, this yield statement, you'll see what yield does in a moment. Okay, so yeah, it's not that you can have just one yield. So you can put one yield or many yields. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then it may contain also as with the normal functions, they contain return statements, right? Okay, at which point when the return statement is run, then execution returns, right, from returns to the caller, right? So this is the you're pretty much familiar with return statement. Okay, so now what is the difference? What is the difference between return, right, and yield? Okay, so let's look at the difference. Okay, so return actually what it does, it returns the value, right? So whatever the function, the function, okay, it returns the value, okay, through what? Through the return state, right? Using the return state, right? And then once the return uh, uh, the statement is run in the function, then the function is terminated. Okay, so you get out of the function and go back to the caller, right? So whereas in yield, so when you use the yield statement, okay, in this case, what happens is here now, although yes, you return the value, of course, okay, just like in return, right? In yield, you return the value, but you do not terminate the function. Okay, that is the difference. And then you can come back, and then the states are preserved. Okay, so in this case, in return, when the execution returns, okay, uh, or say when the return keyword, not the keyword, return statement is run in the function, right? Then what happens is the execution gets out of the function, means any variables that are defined within the functions are no longer accessible because they're actually they are kind of they die. Okay, right? So, but in the yields case, when you use yield, then those variables uh, in the function are still available. Okay, because the function in that case it's paused, right, rather than stopped or terminating or ending the function, right? It's just like a pause, right? You're paused and you can come back to it, and then all the states are saved, right? The states of all the you know, um, states in the function statements like variables and everything. They're all saved, and then you can you can access those states or values. Okay, when you come back again, right? And then it continues from there on subsequent calls. Okay, so it does not terminate. So the main difference between return and yield is return terminates the function, whereas yield does not terminate. It just pauses. Okay, and then preserves all the states, okay, of the variables within the function. Okay? Whereas in return, okay, all the variables die. Okay, they are no longer accessible. Okay, all right. So those are the key differences between the return and yield. Okay, all right. So now let's create a very simple generator function. Okay, so as we said, the generator function, okay, can be created by using what? It's just like a normal function. See here, this function, okay, is very much like a normal function. The only difference is what? We're using yield instead of return, right? Rather than using return here, see, we're using 3 yield keywords, right? Yield, 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 right? So now let's see what, okay, let's see what, when we run this, or rather, okay, let's finish this, and then you'll see how it works. Okay, so now this is the generator function, right? My gen right here. This is the generator function. Now I want to get a generator object, right? Okay, I need to have the generator object. So right here, see, how do I get the generator object? I call this generator function like this, right? Okay, So I'm calling the myGen function, which is what? MyGen is the generator function, right? So if I call the generator function, so this is calling, right? Okay, and then because since see no arguments are required here because there's no parameter here, so we're not passing anything here, right? So what this returns, okay, what is returned from here is the generator object. See, now this is the generator object. See, right? Generator instance that you see there, right? So generator object instance. Right? Okay, so now let's see. Now if you print the type, okay, I'm printing the type of myGen, right? So as expected, the type of myGen is the generator object. See, class generator. That means it's an instance of the class generator, right? It's a generator object, right? So myGen is the generator object, right? Now the generator object is an iterator, right? Generator object is an iterator. So if it's an iterator, you can traverse through or run through or go through the variables one at a time using the next function, right? So you see here. Now next myGen, because myGen is the generator, also iterator, right? So now it'll give me this will output 2, right? Why? Because see now, okay, when this gets called, next myGen, it goes here, right? It goes here, and the first yield statement there, okay, whatever this is yielding, right? So 2, right? So this is being sent back, okay? But myGen, the function the function is being paused, kind of say, okay? So this is being returned back, right? But this call to myGen, okay, is in pause mode, okay? So 2 is 2 return, so that's that's being output or that's being printed here, right? That's 2 right here, okay? And then this one, this next myGen, okay? So this is going to give me what? Now it goes back again, okay? And then it knows, it remembers that it has, returned this one already. So the next one to be returned is this one, this value right here. It's the second yield statement. So I get this 3, right? That's this 3. That's what this 3 is. And then I call next myGen again. So when I call next myGen again, so again, it goes back to myGen right here, since it was paused, right? And then it remembers that, okay, I've sent this one already. I've sent back this one already. So the turn is for now. The turn is this one's turn, right? This yield's turn. So of course, so 4 is returned or sent back, right? Okay, 4 is sent back now. Okay, so now when I run this, okay, let's see if I did I run this code? Okay, let me make sure that I run them. Okay. Okay, so here, okay, now I'm gonna run this one. Let's see. Yes, see, I got 2, 3, 4, right? And then when I try to call, the next function, okay, with this iterator, this generator object, okay. So what happens is because we have, gone through all the element there was, okay. So probably here I was typing here 2, 4, right? Okay. So now because we have gone through all the values within that generator object. So when I try to access more values using next in the same generator, then what happens? I get stop iteration. See, stop iteration exception error, right? Because there are no values to return. Okay, so this is what generator how generator works, right? See now, let's look at a use case or how generator can be used for for various tasks. For example, here, let's see how we can use generator object or generator to reverse a string. Reverse a string means what? Okay, so for example, if you have so if I pass, for example, generator, then it should give me what? ROTAREMET, right? That's what we're getting. So this is reversing the string. So see, very simple code using just using generator object you can very simply, you can uh, reverse a string. Okay? So let's see how it works. Okay. So here, see, you have this is a function, right? It looks like just a normal function, right? But what is it? Is it a normal function? What do you think, Yana? Do you want to try? What do you think it's a normal function or something else?
Is it something else, I think?
Okay, yeah, it's something else, yeah. But why? Because see, there's no return, right? Instead of return, what do we have here? Yield, right? We have yield rather than normal functions have return, right? As the last statement in that function, right? So here we're using yield, right? So if you're using yield, then it's basically a what kind of function is it? Starts with G. You want to try?
Generator?
Generator function. Very good. Yes, that's right. So this is a generator function, right? So because see, you have this yield, so that means this function is a generator function, right? So let's see how it works. See now, what's happening here is see now this is the name of the generator function rep underscore str, and it takes in a string, right? It takes in a string, right? And then see here now, what we're doing is we're just trying to get the length of the string, len, right? Len, len is the how many characters are there in that string, right? So that gives you the length, right? Length, okay? So now here, this is just a normal for loop, right? It's a normal for loop where, you are, here you're using range, right? Range length minus one, minus one. That means it will start the index, okay? The index, because we're using this I here, see? This I over here, indexing, right? So input str I. So basically what this will do is it will start, the index will start from the last one, see? Length minus one. So for example, let's see here how many what's the length of the len? Okay, what is the value of length here? So let's see. G is 1, right? E is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Length is 9, right? So length is 9. 9 minus 1 is 8, right? So this is going to be 8. You're starting, in the range, right? Right? Your starting value will be 8, right? 8. So the index input str I, when you're indexing eighth, okay, in zero-based index, your eighth index, the letter or character with the eighth index is R, right? The last one, right? So that will be taken, right? Okay, and that will be yield. Okay, that will be yielded, right? And then in the next iteration, what's the next one? So this is the step. Step is minus one. So that means the next one is 8 minus 1, which is 7, right? 7. So it'll be like input str7. Input str7 is what? O, right? Okay, and so on until you get to G, right? This is the last one before the last index, right? So it'll go up to 0 when you have minus 1 here. Okay, it'll go up to 0, right? So that's how you're yielding basically. First you're yielding what? R, and then you yield 0. Oh, sorry. First you yield R, then you yield O, right? And then you yield T, and then A, uh, uh, A, R, and then so on, okay, until G, right? So now you're yielding those, okay? Now right here, see what's happening here. See now when you are now you're basically using that generator here, okay? You're using that generator. So basically internally what it does is say for loop, okay? Internally it's calling the next function, right? Next, as you saw up there, right? Next function on this, okay? Whatever generator. So from here, you get the generator object, right? So this is the generator function, right? This is the generator function. And this one, when you call the generator function like this, you're going to get back what? Generator object, right? So this will be generator object, right? This highlighted one. So in that generator object, you're calling, you know, the elements within that one at a time. So in the first call, okay, it'll go here, and then what's being yielded? R, right? And then that R is printed. See, R is printed. Okay, and it goes back again, right? And next yield will give us O. That's being printed, right? And so on. Okay, so that's how it works. So now, the beauty of this, this code structure, or this construct, is that it's very simple. Okay, no complex, nothing complex, very simple once you understand how generators work, right? So it's easy to understand, and that it's simple. Code is simple. The simpler the code is, the better it is. Okay. All right. So now that's we talked about generators, right? Generator objects. Okay. So let's talk about generator expression. Okay. So now simple generator objects can be created using generator expressions. Okay. That's just like you have these, uh, list comprehension, set comprehension, dictionary comprehensions. Okay, they're a very easy way to create. For example, list comprehensions create, an easy way to create, some pattern of values in a list, right? So just likewise, we can create simple generator objects using the generator expressions. Okay, so you don't have to always use the generator functions. Okay, so you can use generator expressions, very easily. Yeah. Okay, even simpler. Okay, so generator expressions create anonymous generators. So basically, and what are generator expressions? Generator expressions are anonymous generator functions. Okay, they are, ultimately they're also functions, but they are anonymous function. Anonymous generator function means, anonymous means what? They don't have a name, right? So generator expressions do not basically need a name. Okay, pretty much like lambda functions, right? Lambda functions, as we saw, they are also anonymous functions, right? Which do not have a name. Okay, so generator expressions are very similar to list expressions. So in terms of the syntax, okay, it looks very similar and works pretty much similar to list comprehension. Okay, the differences. What are the differences? The difference is that generator expressions, okay, they use parentheses, whereas list comprehensions, they use square bracket. Okay, if you remember, list comprehensions, they use square brackets, right? And then the generator expressions use it's almost the syntax within the that those enclosing parentheses. Okay, this almost same like list comprehension. Okay, also the generator expressions return the data one at a time. Okay, as you remember, right? Generator expressions or generator objects, they return the data one at a time, not at once, not all the data at once, right? Whereas list comprehension, what they do not return data one at a time. Rather, what do they do? They return all the data, okay, at once. So that is another difference. Okay, so let's see. Let's create our first generator expression. Okay, how do you create a generator expression? So let's see. So right here. So this is the, this is the generator expression right here. Right? See. Now, okay. Basically, this is a kind of a function. Function. It doesn't have a name, as we said, right? So of course, once the generator function or generator object is created, right? So that is being, stored in mygen. Okay. So here, so what's happening here? Let's see. See, just like with list comprehension, see, as I explained last time. Okay. With list expression, see, now you're iterating from I. Okay, iterating, right? You're going from this I, the value of I will go from 0 to 9, right? Because you have range 10. Range 10 means your starting value is 1, and then increments of 1 all the way up to 9. right? So it will be what? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So for each of those, what are you doing here? For each of those, you are getting the 2 to the power of that number, right? So the first one will be what? 2 to the power 0, which is 1, right? Next one will be 2 to the power 1, which is 2. The third value will be 2 to the power 3, which is 8, and so on, right? Okay, so that's what is expected. See, now all the way up to what? 2 to the 9, okay, 2 to the power 9. Okay, so this is going to give me a generator object, right? This is supposed to be this whole thing, right? Because this is a generator expression right here, right? This is generator expression. So it's supposed to give me a generator object, right? So see here. Now, if I print my gen, right? So you see this right here, generator object. So this confirms that my gen is a generator object. So if it's a generator object, then you have to access the values one at a time. Okay, not at once. You cannot do it at once, right? You have to access the values one at a time. So see, now when I do next my gen, right? Next and the generator object, then I get the first value. First value is okay. Actually, I think I had run this multiple times. That's why I get 4. But okay, so I have to reset it. Okay, so let me run this. Okay, and then let me run this one. See, the first value is as expected is 1, right? Because it's 2 to the power 0, right? Okay, so which is 1, right? So if I now see, I can go on like this. See, so every time I click here or run this, I'm going to get the next value. See here, okay. So what's the next expected value? Can you try, Anna? So if I click on this again, what value do I get? Any idea? Or if you don't know, you can say this passer. This
I'm
one.
not
Okay,
sure.
that's fine. 2 to the, okay, we did 2 to the power 0, right? The next one is what? 2 to the power 1, right? Which is 2, right? 2 to the 1, 2 to the power 1 is 2, right? So that's what we get. Let's see. If I do it again, I get 2 to the power 2, which is 2 to the power 2 is what? 4, right? See? And if I do it again, then what do I get? 2 to the power 3, which is 8, right? And so on. Okay. So now let me reset it again. Okay, and I'm going to run this once, and then here now rather than clicking that one multiple times one after another, I can access those values using a for loop, right here, and then I provide my generator object here. Okay, so with that generator object, see, I can access the values within the this generator object one at a time. See, with this I, right? And then see, oh, I get all of these. See, and then if I call here, okay, I'll let you try this one. Yes, so if I do next, okay, my gen, okay. So what do you think it'll? What do you think will happen now if I run this? Can you try, Anna?
Isn't it 1024?
No, 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 no. Because see, now because we actually went through all the values. See, now when you use for loop, it goes all the way, right? It goes all the way means it gave me up to 2 to the 9, and then there's no more than 2 to the 9 because see, we had range 10, right? So that means it went all the way up to so the numbers here are from 0 to 9, right? So the maximum I can get is 2 to the 9, which is 512, right? So after that, okay, after that, I have nothing, no more values to give or return, right? So if I do this, okay, there should be no more values to return, and then it should give me and stop iteration, right? Let's see. See, give me stop iteration, right? That means all my values have already been accessed. I have no more values to return.